name is Lou. I got a 1977 Chevy Vega with an LS turbo, power glide, 49-inch, and this is how I street.
The reason we're here is, to find out how you got into this. We've been racing together for a little bit. So, what started all drag racing for you?
Well, it started all in Puerto Rico with my sister's boyfriend. My brothers, they used to go out of town and always race in Puerto Rico. So when I moved out of Puerto Rico into New York, I didn't think nothing about racing back there because the streets are heavy in New York, So after the years passed by, took up automotive school and got into racing illegally in the street, like always. Nothing new. Everything is the same, like everybody else. And raced there for a long time. Did my own car, did my first motor, and after that, I just enjoyed it because I've been a mechanic for about I'm 61 now. I've been a mechanic since I was like 18, 19 years old. Real young, Did
Okay.
my first motors, first heads and everything.
What was the first car you ever started to, work towards racing?
I had a 69 GTO that I got from a friend for like about $300. I was like 19.
Okay.
And put a motor in it because the motor was blown. Hooked it up. Never raced it. Too young to have insurance and stuff like that, so I sold it. Then I had a 69 Super B. It was green with a six-pack hood and everything. And same deal. Couldn't afford to put insurance on it, so I sold it. Then I got together with a friend of mine that we were real close and did one of them things that I got from a brother in New York City. No motor, no nothing, and we started hooking it up. We saw the guy once in a while. He said, "Hey, when you finish it, I want to race you guys." I said, "For sure." So when we finished it, we went out there looking for him and beat his ass. It was a big block 427 motor with no front end, no radiator, no nothing. Our car was complete, street legal plates and everything. Kicked his ass. Had a 355, 350 tranny, 12-bolt rear end. Big, not big tires, but street tires, but pretty big to fit in the car. And kicked his ass, like I said. After that, then it was just for me, for him, we split. He went one way, I went the other. And I stood in it, he did it.
And was that a street race?
Yeah, a street race only right next to the precinct too because we knew everybody there.
Right next to where?
Right next to the police precinct.
Oh, okay.
Police precinct's right here. This track is right here.
Okay.
It was really right there, like not even a block away. It was so fun. I had so much fun that day.
And that was your first street race ever?
My first street race. Actually, my buddy was driving it. I'm the mechanic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I set the engine up, and he set the suspension.
What did you guys have? Just like stock suspension in the rear?
Stock suspension in the rear. No, nothing. It's just everything stock. Just the motor was hopped up. But back then, we weren't really going that fast anyway. It's not like today.
Yeah. How fast do you think you guys were going?
Back then, I say somewhere about in the 13s, which was pretty fast back then.
Yeah. Give
Back,
us a date. What timeline we talking
that was somewhere around 78 to 79. I was like 18, 19 years old. And he used to work. I used to go to school, and he used to work at a lumber place, so he had the money.
Oh, you had your first street race that you were a part of, and you were the mechanic. When did you first drive a car in a street race?
In the street was actually in the 1980. That was my wagon Vega that me and my buddy made, and we parted the motor, tranny. I kept the body. I had a 307 4-speed laying around, so I put that in it. I used the car to go to work. And on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday was race day in the street. And we used to race on the Conduit out in Brooklyn. which is right next to the sanitation. It's a long ass street. And one guy from 125th Street, his name is Henry. I beat his ass, and then he wanted a rematch, but he took off a head friend in front of me, without even the hands going down. So it wasn't even a close race. I beat him just straight up, and because everybody said, "Oh, Henry this, Henry that." Fucking guy wasn't shit. Not for a little 307. His motor was work, and I'm just over here shifting like an animal on a 4-speed Saginaw. If anybody knows what a Saginaw is, you know that motherfucker's all steel.
I don't know what a Saginaw is.
You got 3 types of transmissions: Saginaw, Monzi, M22, Super T10. This was the shittiest transmission you could get. Was a Saginaw.
And you were out there busting everybody's ass every weekend.
Ass, yeah, with a regular stock clutch, 11-inch stock clutch with stock plate. Well, that thing was ripping ass.
And every weekend you're just out there.
Every weekend. I wasn't married. I had no kids. Every weekend, 1980, I go out there. After work, go home, take a shower. Out to race the guys in the street. Yeah, we raced for no money. You know, back then was no money.
Was there a lot of cars involved?
Oh, yeah.
People? Was there crews, or how was the whole deal?
Well, these are Henry was one of the guys that we all hang with, because we all hanged out all together. They call themselves the 125th Street Boys in Manhattan. I wasn't part of them, but I kicked their ass. But they hang out where I usually park my car, which is in a garage, and they had garages there too. After a while, that garage became my garage. I make money out of that. After I left my job and started working for myself. Make transmissions, motors, rear ends, whatever people want. You know, I did. And I was good at it. I'm still good at it. I'm better at it now.
All right, so you were street racing a bunch in Brooklyn and the Bronx,
Yep.
racing guys from Manhattan.
Yep.
And then you opened up your own shop. Did that change things for you? You know, you got faster from there, or?
From there, not you don't get faster right there, because back then I had my first kid in 1981, and then I had my second kids. Way after that, before you know it, you got 5 kids. You like can't do no much more, you know. So I laid off for a while. But then I was in and out of it once in a while, you know. But got back in it again, back in the saddle, and sold that car, the wagon, and got me one like the one that's back here. But this is all street. But I took the 307 and put it inside it, and that 307 could rev the shit out of a stock motor. That motherfucker would run. And I used it for work, pick up the wife, and go to work. Take her to work, me go to work, and
Race it on the weekend still?
And no, that one I didn't race. I laid off for a while because the 12 bolt wasn't in there yet. Because that little 10 bolt, the little differentials, them things got in there. I turned that thing upside down. It broke it. I broke it so easily. It was like, no fucks, piece of junk. So after that, put the 12 bolt in it, and then put a race seat in it, 2 race seats in it, one on each side. The 4-speed was still in it, and I raced that for a little bit, not too long. And then I got rid of it, because that's the car that I got busted in. The car was blue. Not like this, a little darker, like my truck.
So you got caught racing?
Yeah, I got caught racing I was racing this guy. His name is Edgar. What's up, Edgar? You see this? I know you still race. He was talking a lot of smack that he was the fastest small block in all the Bronx, and I told him, "You're full of shit." And I says, "You're not the fastest. I'm not the fastest, but we're gonna see who's the fastest." And I raced him I wanted to race him that day. We lined up, and the cops were behind us, like about maybe 3 or 4 cars behind us, because we all blocked the Hutchinson River Parkway. We blocked it off, and the guys they're holding the cops back are the guys there with us, And when we were ready to take off, and the flagman says something, I didn't get to hear it. The guy Edgar takes off, and I was like, "Where the fuck is he going?" So when I look back, Sure enough, I just took off right behind him. And I got busted for that. I got pulled over. The cop says, "I'm taking your car." I says, "Okay." He wanted the keys. I gave it to him. He had a call. I stood in the car, pulled out my spare key. Didn't want to open the switch for whatever reason. So I called a friend of mine. The phone, back then there was no cell phones, just beepers. And I called him. He came right over real quick, chained the car up to his van, broke the steering wheel column, and took the car. And the thing is, I parked right in front of a precinct, another fucking precinct. Crazy that night. And we took the car to there and called my compay. He came with the trailer, we picked it up, and we left back to the shop. Later on, the following day, I got a call from a friend of mine. It's a cop. His name is Lloyd. He should be retired by now. Nice guy. He was always cool. And he said, "You was out there?" My nickname was Willie. He said, "Willie, you out there?" I said, "Yeah." I says, "Don't take that car anymore. It's a cop that really, really is pissed off at you, and he wants your car." So that same day, I just put a for sale sign on it. A guy knew, he bought it, and he got busted for it. But they couldn't pin it on him anyway because the car had no plates, so there's no tagging him to me. And that was my first interaction with the cops.
So you sold the Vega after your interaction with the police, and where did you go from there?
I went and got another one. I bought it from, I think it was somewhere upstate New York. It was under 10 feet of snow, just this body, this one right here. No glass, no front end, no floor, no rear end, no nothing. Bought it for like $2,500. But the chassis was still, it was brand new. So it took me 4 years to build it. And got into the track instead of in the street. And that's what took me out of the street, the track. And I did that for a while and got tired of it because there was really no action. It was not like you get an adrenaline rush. I mean, you do get it, but it's like a little one. It's not a big one. When you're racing in the streets, a lot better. And plus the payout a lot more. Track payout is, you could have 30 cars in there and you probably take home about maybe $1,000, $1,500 back then, if that, because the NHRA takes everything. That's it, Then I decided, I'm gonna give it up, sell the car, put the car for sale one time, this same car, and then some people wanted to take it apart. They wanted the front end, they wanted the rear end. I said no. Either take the whole thing or I don't sell you shit. I didn't sell nothing. So, and I kept it. And I went to the track whenever I wanted to get, a nice little happy time with me, my family, the kids. Because I got pictures of the kids when they were small. And that was it. And the street didn't apply to me no more, especially in New York City, because they started getting rough on the laws. They'll take your car and they'll give it to you in a cubicle no bigger than this table. Or if you have insurance on it, they'll take the VIN number off and say non-title. You can't title it, you can't plate it, you can't put insurance on it or even plates on it. That happened to a friend of mine, Andy. I race Andy too in the street. I could never go around this guy, for whatever reason. He was good in the stick shift. That guy was fast. No,
What kind of car was it?
It was a Camaro, 69, 69 Camaro, blue. He sold that. He got busted too in the street. Paid 10 grand, lawyer, and he got his car back, but not a cubicle. He got it all, but couldn't insure it. All he had to do is sell it as a race car. That was it.
And you raced him in
my Vega.
Your Vega?
Yeah, in the street. One time that I just came in, I showed up with my car, and he wanted to race. I said, okay, let's go. I raced him twice. I couldn't beat him. He had because back then there was no flashlight thing. Remember, it was just hands. And if you brake, like what the JJ does, they did that back then. Races. Chases a race. So when he never was a fair guy to beat anyway. This guy wasn't fair, and none whatsoever. So anybody that's like clapping for him, no. Remember that, Andy. You owe me. And then I texted him a couple of months ago. I asked him if he's still racing. He says, Flash News, no, he stopped. I guess he has some kind of health problems or something. So he don't race no more.
And at some point you moved.
I moved to Florida back in '03 after and my wife panicked a little bit, and we left New York because New York City is a town that's the first one that's gonna get bombed. So we decided,
after the 9/11.
I'm working, and one of the guys told me, "Hey, did you see the airplane crash? Yada yada." No, he said something about the towers being on fire. So there was no TV where I was working, but I went across the street to the car wash, and I'm looking at this fucking tower in fire. I was like, "Oh shit!" I said, "My friend works there. He works at the bank all the way on the top floor, and there's a safe is held on beams. So when the building moves, the safe moves. You know." And he worked at that bank, and I was like, "Oh, I hope he's the fuck out of there." And that day he was sick. He had an appointment with the doctor, the operation on a leg or some shit, and he wasn't there. And then,
scary.
like a few hours later, I'm looking at the freaking towers just falling. I was like, "Holy shit, we're in fucking war." And then no phone, back then I had a phone, my beeper. I couldn't get in contact with my wife. I couldn't get in contact with the school for the kids. So I just walked out of the job and left. Went to pick up the kids, and from there I met the wife somewhere, picked her up, and went home and prepared for whatever the hell came. Because we didn't know. It was fucking crazy. Crazy. There wasn't nobody down there at all whatsoever.
Okay, so you pack your bags and you hit the road to Florida.
And, the wife, I said, "Well, we got some money saved up. Let's get out of the freaking New York." And that's what we did. With my wife's daughter, she stood in our apartment that we had, and she still lives there to today. And it was Mitchell, Danny, my wife, and me. We packed up and we left. We went to Florida. I stayed in New York for a little while to take care of my business, and then because I was working for another guy, and that guy was really nice, and I didn't want to leave him stranded. So I packed everything, my trailer. I didn't have this trailer. I had an open trailer. My toolbox went inside the trailer, and a big truck that I rented, and off we went to Florida. And I lived for Florida for 17, 18 years, then moved here.
Okay, so in Florida, did you what was the racing like in Florida?
The racing in Florida is track. If you race in the street, they take your car, and then you gotta get a lawyer. And you won't get it back in the cube. You get it back with plates and everything, but you gotta pay a lot of money. And I didn't want to get caught there, so I didn't do it. But then it stopped. Florida, then a lot of street racing stopped because then they were really going to jail now after that. If you go to Pinellas County into Hillsborough County, that was it. Those are the two that you crossed over, and if they chase you into the other one, the other guy got you. Now you're doing something wrong in their county, and they don't like that. So I never took the car to the street. Everything was in the track in Florida too. And I went to go test. They had grudge races in the track in Florida. They have a lot of grudge racing in Florida, a lot of it, but it's all done at the track. All done at the track, which is really, really nice because you pay your money and it becomes a pot. Like they did in West Palm Beach. They do that in West Palm Beach like that. All the brothers come down, and man, you see money all over the place. Fast cars too. Fast freaking cars. Cars you never seen before that you think you're like, "Oh, I never seen that car run before." This car is over 200 miles an hour. You know, real fast. And I did that there in Florida.
You did a lot of grudge racing?
In Florida, no, because when I got to Florida, I worked for Nissan, and then I went for Ford, and then I did Goodyear. I was jumping around, so the money was like kind of tight. I couldn't race like I wanted to because it took money. So I went out, had a little fun with some friends that I met, and to today I have some of these friends, and they're real nice guys.
What was the setup back then?
Back then it was a 389 Stroker 350, methanol. Because in Florida, if we all know, I don't know if you guys know, but Florida is hard, even though it's sea level, it's hard to get a car down on regular gasoline. So I switched over to methanol, and methanol got me where I wanted to go because of the humidity, and the humidity in the air bothers the performance of the motor. So therefore I switched over to methanol, and that worked out beautifully. Then I was keeping up with the fast guys and kicking their ass. I was taking out 632s, 550 blow motors, cars that were really fast. And I was NA motor, just on methanol. And I would leave them where they stood. You know, car grip, had a nice downforce. The wheelie bars worked, everything worked beautifully.
How fast were you going back then?
Back then I was like in the 570s, NA motor, 570, about 108, 168 and a quarter, and I was like 840s around there somewhere. It was fast for NA motor, you know, revving up to about 7,900 with the big tires, because back then I never ran small tires. I just got into the small tire thing about 6 years ago.
You did a lot of grudge racing?
In Florida, no, because when I got to Florida, I worked for Nissan, and then I went for Ford, and then I did Goodyear. I was jumping around, so the money was like kind of tight. I couldn't race like I wanted to, took money. So I went out, had a little fun with some friends that I met, and to today I have some of these friends, and they're real nice guys. And I race with them.
And you've always done all of your own tuning?
I do all my own stuff, even when it was carbureted. I don't like nobody touching my car. You know, there's too many. There's a lot of people that hate, and I got friends in New York City that hated me for that because I was the fastest guy in the group, and they hated me for it. And then when I got to Florida, I got a couple of haters there too that were supposed to be my friends, and I kicked them to this curb, you know, because the only thing you could do is once they don't talk to you, it's because of that. You know, they don't claim to be your friends. They just, even though they got cars, but they're not fast, they hate you because you have that. You know, and then they try to get around you, and all they're there is just to take information. They don't help you. You know, if you help me, I help you. That's how I see it. I've always done it. I'm a quick believer in it. But there are guys that just hate. You know, even though you help them, they just fucking hate. And they'll stick a knife in your back like white on rice. So anyway, getting back to the LS deal, I went and I bought an LSX block, and I put it to the side, and I built a 5.3 motor that is supposed to be for sale for an everyday driver that I put on the Craigslist, but everybody wanted like $500. I said no, I got more money than that invested in it. That's what I want, $2,500. Come and take it. The heads were ported by me, had all new valves, all springs are set up by me. The whole motor is all built by me. Had that in the stand. I had no motor in my car. I said, well, I'm gonna throw that in there. I threw it in there, and then at the time I was hiding which computer I'm gonna go with, because I was looking at everybody's. Haltech, Motec, Mega Squirt, all these other companies, and then I ran into Fuel Tech, and I didn't know what the hell it was until I found them at the track one time. And I said, well, that's where I want to go, Fuel Tech. And that's what I bought. I bought the Fuel Tech in it, that's what's in there today. Never let me down. It's always beautiful, it's easy to tune, it's not like Harley. Not that I'm bashing Harley. Everybody has their own preferences. Every tuner has their own preferences. Not every tuner could tune something different, you know. Some states got, they swear on Harley. Some states don't. You go see most of the fastest cars that are out there, and they're all powered by freaking Fuel Tech. Even the fastest 4-cylinder or the fastest rotary, it's all Fuel Tech, because it works. Anyway, so put the motor in the car and started it. I got a video out on my Facebook page from when I had the shop. It's still up. Stock and Performance. You'll see it there when the car's throwing flames out the freaking exhaust above the hood. And I'm like, oh shit, how the hell did you do this shit? I was stumped there, you know? But after a while, I got control of it and no more flames. I mean, it's pretty and it looks nice, but it's just too much fire, you know?
Yeah.
So that's that. Then at the time I got sick in Florida. My wife was working here, and she came and picked me up, and we closed the shop, and I moved over here. And she has a job here. We bought a house here.
Okay. So how did you learn how to tune, or did anybody help you learn how to tune, or you just figured it out?
You gotta understand that when you go to school for auto mechanics, this stuff's already given to you. It's already taught to you. Even though it's a carburetor, it's still the same. It's just now you're controlling electronically, you know, and you could control more things than what you could do with a carburetor or a distributor, you know. So it's it becomes a little bit more, not easier, but it brings you back to when you first learn how to deal with a carburetor, you know, the power valve, the power enrichment, the mid enrichment, the full enrichment on a carburetor. And then you could go into the distributor when you start advancing it, how far you want to advance it, you know, when you want it to advance. So all that stuff goes back into the computer. The computer's all there, and it's more easier. I have a friend in Florida. He says, oh, you're switching over from a screwdriver and pliers to a keyboard. And it's true. You go to a keyboard. You get rid of the screwdriver and pliers. You know?
Yeah.
And it's a lot more easier than people think. It's just people don't apply themselves.
Okay.
In Florida, that's when I switched over to small tire. But the car was never streetable. The suspension was not set, the back or the front. So the car every time wheelie out, you know, it carried out pretty good with the wheelie bars and everything. It was strong that way. It ran pretty good, gave me a good 60 foot marks, but nothing like now in the street, you know. And then first time here was when I moved down here. Somebody told me about Double Eagle. I didn't know where it was, so one of the guys that I met here, we went up there and I said, okay, I'll go up there with the trailer and stuff with the car. And I see there's this kid with this black Camaro. And the car sounds kind of weird, but he was there. It's James. and I think Lawrence was there too with his buddy's car, that big GTO. And I did my first test hit there, but the car, like I said, was never set up for the street. Then after a couple of hits there, tire pressure this, shock this, nothing want to work. So then I went and I borrowed Bill's, I met Bill. And then months later, I still didn't know Bill. Bill, we weren't even on friend terms. I just met him. And I asked him, does he got any kind of scales? He said, yeah. I said, okay, can I borrow them? And he was hesitant at first, but he let me use them, you know. I showed him where I lived and everything, so I made sure that he get his shit back. You know, I'm not gonna steal it. And it was a big help. Then I set the suspension up, set the weight distribution, the anti-squat and all that, and took the wheelie bars off. And first test hit on the street, the tire had a little too much tire pressure. It burned a couple of, you know, too much tire pressure. So I started bringing the tire pressure down until the car liked it. Once the car liked it, then that's why I always kept it.
And that's when you got back into street racing now.
Yep.
That you moved to
To
New Mexico. Now you got that good adrenaline.
Yeah. At an old age. I might catch a heart attack from this shit. But hey, it's fun, man. I like racing, you know. It's always been in my blood since I was born. My brothers did it. My cousins did it. My sister's husband did it. He had one of the fastest cars in Puerto Rico, too. He had a Ford 429 Corvette and a Falcon.
You're pulling up to the line, getting ready to run someone on the street. What's going through your head?
Well, the jitters. Everybody got them. Nobody can lie. They say they don't. They get it. And once you do the burnout, the jitters is gone. And then now it's focus time. I mean, so there'll be times you get out of focus. You know, there's sometimes people get back on focus really quick. And there's times you don't get on focus real quick. And those are the guys that you see a lot that come out behind the guy, you know, instead of being next to the guy, letting the car do its thing. Now you just blew a race. You know, it's happened to me. It's happened to me in a couple of races in here. You know, I don't deny it. But like I said, once you do the first burnout, all the jitters gone, and now all you gotta do is focus and pay attention to the flagger, and then do the best you can, and hope you put enough in it to take the win. You know, if you didn't put enough in it and you miscalculated, now you go home. But when you go around, that's when it's good. You know, and sometimes you'll be racing some slow cars, which is okay. You know, sometimes you just don't get the fastest car. Sometimes you may get the slowest car. Sometimes you may get the fastest car of the group, whoever come in, and that's good too, because he could also make mistakes as you can and will make mistakes.
But do you have any pre-race rituals, any lucky gloves or anything?
No, I sometimes I'll make the cross sign, and hopefully that it takes me through good. My car stays straight and doesn't go sideways and crash into the guy or crash into something. I'm a very, at MH right now, the car, I feel it like it's part of a glove. Whatever the car does something that is funky, I notice it really fast. You know, and not as fast as when I was younger, but I notice it, you know. And once I know that it's doing a little something that is going to go sideways, my thing is let go and get back on. There's some people that don't let go. I'd rather let go, save my car, race another time with a car that's intact. You know, I crashed this car, 2 times. I crashed that car at the track. One I kissed the wall at Englishtown when I first finished building it. It was yellow and white. And then I had painted that color and made it white and indigo pearl. And then I hit this side in Florida. And then now it's this color. And then my son hit the other side, which I haven't fixed yet. But that's a different story. And so, you know, you get into those things that it happens really quick that you can't respond to it. But when it's coming up slow, a little slower than quicker, then you'll be able to respond to it a little better. You know, but there's sometimes that, and everybody tells you, sometimes you can't get out of it. There's no way to recover. That's dangerous.
Any words or any suggestions for people that are just entering and trying to get into the sport?
Start slow, work your way up. That's it. That's the right way. You can't get a guy that's never been in a race car and jumps into something like this, and then they'll wind up either hurting themselves or hurting someone else. Until you really know how to really pay attention to the car, you should have no way being near a car like this. You know, start small. Always start small, and then work your way up. I do have one. I do. I got a story for that one. You won't like this one.
All right,
I like that one that you were talking about. The one we were standing right here. We were talking about it.
Oh, the one when we were here.
No, the one about the Mazda.
In the
Oh.
Hudson, the guy that just pulled up on you.
Oh,
Rotary.
that goes way back, man.
I like that one.
That one. That was my memorable one. That was my I want to kick your ass one. You
So
know,
what's-
for throwing your car on top of he didn't hit me, but he went. I seen him when he went like this.
What's the most memorable race that you've had?
The most memorable was in Florida, Then I'm gonna get back to a different one. In Florida, which I was just testing and tuning, I just switched over to methanol, and the track officials came up to me and asked me if I want to race in their grudge race. I thought, I was surprised at that because I didn't pay nothing into it. I was there for test and tune, and they asked me, and I had a little problem with the car. I took care of it right at the track, fixed the problem, and then went out. That right there was my first win. I took out a lot of heavy hitters. There was about 12 cars, and I took all of them out with that car. On NA motor, methanol, everybody else had big block, nitrous, whatever the hell they were, man. I was cutting some freaking phenomenal lights. And, big motors that had, over, 1,500 horsepower motors. These guys are killers. They're there every weekend, And when they brought me the trophy and the money, it was much. It was about $500. I was happy as shit. That was my first win in Florida, which I was like, I liked it. I was happy because I wasn't racing no ducks. They were really fast guys, and me coming in with this thing and a NA motor, smallest motor in the group, I was happy.
And what about street race? What's a very memorable
street race? The memorable one was I raced a guy with a rotary back in the day. Not with this car, another car just like it. It was a street car on nitrous. I had 150 shot nitrous, something like that. And the guy had nitrous too, but he wanted to race nitrous, and I told him no, we go NA first. And we did NA, and I beat him. And then he wanted to do in the return back, so I went. He said, "Okay, fine." And we take off, and I beat him again. And closer to the end, he threw his car on top of mine. And luckily, I stopped on the brake to slow mine really, really fast. And when I did that, he just flew right in front of me like this. He just swerved right. He went from his lane that he was back here, and as soon as I slowed down and my car went like this, he went like this, tried to hit me, and that was like the worst. And those are the guys I stay away from, And I let them know if I know you got a fast car in your car, and I know that your car's all over the road, I'm gonna tell you. Either you hit my car, and if I'm beating you and you hit my car, we're gonna have a problem. But if you stay in your lane, you keep in control. I have no problem with racing people like that, It's just stay in control of your vehicle, If you know you're getting beat and you already got 2 cars and you close to the finish line, there's no way in hell you're gonna go around the guy. Just lay off, even if you're not in control. Lay off of it, so that way you can race another day. Make it better, so you could take that same person out.
And that race was where, in New York?
That was in New York, in Sariga.
Where, of all the places you've street raced, where's your favorite spot to street race?
Favorite spot was actually the hutch. That was the favorite. The road is straight, but when you look at the end, it goes like this to the right. So you're not looking at a straight road. You're looking at a road that fades away to the right, because the highway. It's not my favorite place, but it's a real tricky road to race on, because it's on the right hand side, you got the swamp, and if your car gets out of control, guess what? You're gonna find yourself in the swamp. So that's why it's a little tricky road, but it's a nice road. The road is I see a lot of, matter of fact, there's a guy there now that has a Maverick. I was checking on his Facebook page. I know the guy from when we were kids, and he has a fast ass Maverick. Pops a wheelie on the hutch all the time. Powerful, nice car, nice little Maverick.
Do you like the street racing that you did back in New York back in the day better, or the street racing that you're doing now?
The street racing back in New York was fun. No money, like it was back then. Then people, sometimes they put money. It was fun. A lot of cars. I'm talking about cars that you don't see no more. Or the only place you see them, it's in magazines. uh, the older Chevys, the older Plymouths, the older Fords, all that stuff is all gone now. You don't see that. Even this, you don't see as much. You know, I was surprised when I came here that I saw a few of these still here. In Florida, there's only two. A friend of mine, Robert Rogers, and there's another guy that a woman. Her husband drives a rail, and their both cars are methanol. That's the only two cars that I see, and mine, three. And when I came here, I was like, oh shit, there's a whole bunch of these cars around. I was like, I was still around. I guess every state's a little different.
So how was the crowds in New York when you guys were street racing?
When it back then, it was heavy, man. It was heavy. It was hard to get down the road because it's like they all get in your way because they want to see the car come right by them fly. It's like they love it, you know. It's like Moses opening the sea. They're all in the middle, and then when you start to go and race the other guy, you see the two cars coming. It's like somebody just parted the sea like this, and then the road just opens up. You know, it was fun, but dangerous.
And that's at the Hutch?
That was at Hunts Point.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, in Hunts Point they have a nice long road. When they start back at the traffic light, all the way to the end. It was like a quarter mile. They never raced. I was never ever a eighth of a mile guy. I hated eighth of a mile until I started getting into it in Florida. But I've been always a quarter mile guy.
Who are some people that you give thanks to, or you know, do you have any sponsors? Anybody you want to thank for getting you here? People that support you?
That's really, really, really. I have no sponsors, 0 sponsors. The only one that I was sponsoring was myself because of the shop back in Florida. Here, there's no sponsors, none of that stuff here. This is all me. It's no money for nobody. Nobody helps, you know. It's just me, that's it. You know, I do the engine, I do the tranny, I do the rear end, I do the setup, I do the programming. You know, there's nobody else for me to thank but my wife, that she allows it. You know, because some women don't like that. My wife driven the other car, the blue car, at Hunts Point. You know, but this is when she was really young. She was really into it. Now she's not into it, but I stood in it. But I give thanks to her. You know, she never complained about it. You know, only thing she complains about, you putting more money into that car, which is normal, you know. But as long as you do a car, you're not doing nothing different, you know. You're not cheating on her. You're not doing nothing stupid, you know. And I have my focus where I want to be. I'm not like a young kid that'll have no focus on what they want to go, what they want to do.
So what are some of your future goals with the car?
Continue racing till I can. That's it. I mean, you know, if I get somebody to sponsor me and they wanted to, for me to go to the track or something and race bracket, I'll do it if they give me the money. But I know that's not going to happen because that's not what I'm looking for. You know, but if it does come my way, I'll take it. It's something different. Then the money that they're giving me goes into the car.
All right, so you told us a little bit of your background, and now we're both here in Albuquerque, New Mexico, doing our thing.
Yes, sir.
You want to tell us a little bit about the setup on the car?
Well, it's a small block LS. It's a 388 cubic inch motor with, like I said, it's an LS3 head on that. All done by me. The motor's done by me. The rotating assembly was balanced by somebody else in machine shop because I don't have a balancer. And if I did have a balancer, that would have been done by me too. All clearance and everything's all done by me. Cam selection is all done by me. I don't call up Cam and tell him, hey, what's the best cam for my setup? No. I know what I got. I know what I'm putting together. I know what I want. So, as long as you got everything else behind it working together, the car will be just fine. You know, a lot of people depend on other people to tell them what they got, how fast they want to go. Me, If I do 550, I'm good. I don't care. If I do 5.0s, I'm happier than everybody else. You know, is the car capable of it? Yeah. You know, but there's other things that needed to be put into it before I could get it go that fast. But it can go that fast, the way it is now. That's it. It's then the fuel system is Fuel Tech, computer, Power Glide, 4.9 inch. I usually run a big tire, but I've been stepping out of the big tire. I jumped into a small tire, which is a lot more fun, a lot more better control. Not a radial. If I was at the track, I'll put a radial on it and then car go faster. But it's not a radial. It's a slick car. So it's all right. A lot of guys depend on radials, but you also got to depend on the track being there for the radials. That's it.
Turbo, what size turbo?
Oh, turbo, it's an 88 millimeter. It's nothing expensive, no $5,000 turbo. This is a $1,000 turbo from PS, with a billet wheel, and it works pretty well. I could make 26 pounds out of it, especially now with this motor. With the other motor, wouldn't do that because the turbo was too big for the other motor. So when I made everything for this motor, everything was made for the motor that's in the car now and bigger. But this is the motor that I chose to do. It's a LSX block in there.
And you did all the fabrication as well, or no?
Everything I did. The hot side, the cold side, the radiator. I cut that radiator in half, rewelded it, and put it underneath the turbo. And for now, it's working pretty well. It don't get hot, just maybe about 160 degrees on methanol. And it stays there. It doesn't get overheated or nothing. And it works out pretty well.
Yo, what up, guys? So that was our very first episode of This Is How I Street. So first and foremost, I want to apologize for all the wind noise. I know it was absolutely horrible. I'm sorry, but there was just nothing I could do about it. Me and Lou actually redid this whole interview in his garage because of the wind noise, and for whatever reason, Lou just wasn't feeling it, and I don't know what happened. The interview just ended up being, it was just real awkward, so this is kind of what I was left with, and I just wanted to post this and kind of start to get a feel for what you guys think. Do you guys want me to keep doing these? Is this something you want to keep seeing? What questions do you want me to ask these people? I'm in a position where I have access to interview some cool fucking people, you guys. I can't make any promises, but I know some people, and I'm sure some people would be willing to do some of this stuff with me. Some big names, some really big names in street racing. And if you guys watch my short that I posted on YouTube, go check that out, where I kind of go over why I did this. But that's besides the point right now. I want to know, what do you guys want to know about these people? Who would you like to see on This Is How I Street? Who would you like me to interview? Maybe you would like to be on here. I really want to interview people that have been street racing for a long time, people that have been, putting in that work on the street. And like I said, I apologize for the wind. Before I go on to do some of these people that I think will allow me to do these things with them, like big names, I kind of want to get this stuff ironed out. So I plan on buying some better equipment. I know I need some mics and things like that. Also, if anybody has experience with doing interviews, let me know what you think I should get. I have 2 cameras. I know there's a bunch of very expensive things when it comes into doing interviews, like the little machine that carries the camera across, so it looks like it's I don't know, so it's like making a motion, and there's a bunch of stuff. But if there's something that you would recommend that you really think is necessary, one thing I am gonna buy is microphones, like a lapel mic, I think they're called, the one that you have on your chest or whatever on your shirt.
and just little things like that that I want to improve slowly, and then slowly get to. Sorry, my phone's dying. Get to a point where I can interview these people, but I want the interview to do these people justice. I don't want to go in here with no experience, interview a really, really big name in street racing, but not get the information that everybody wants or the things that everybody wants to know. So that is why I'm asking you guys to help me out and let me know what it is you want to know. Did you like this interview? There are obviously a bunch of things I personally plan on fixing, but like I said, this one just kind of it happened to just work the way it was made already, and that's why I had the issue with the wind noise. But yeah, I'm very, very excited for this series. Anyways, I'll catch you all next time. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Follow us on all our social media outlets: Facebook, Instagram, and Snapchat. Thank you all for watching. Se la lavan.